everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Global Nurse Stories. And today I have a guest in the house. She's presently practicing nursing in Canada. Yes, Canada, you heard me right. First of all, thank you for the likes. Thank you for subscribing. And I hope all the stories has been impactful. Thank you. Let me allow her introduce herself. She's a very good friend for more than a decade. And she left Nigeria so early, but now she's in Canada. Oh,
Okay.
her name is Abibat. Abibat, hi.
Hi, Blessing. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring my invitation.
You're most welcome.
Can you please introduce yourself, your nursing education background, and where you are presently for the audience to know who you are?
Okay, just as you said, my name is Abiba, and I started my nursing career in Nigeria. I started as a registered nurse, and I specialized in mental health as a registered psychiatric nurse in Aru, and later went to UK, had my degree, also had my master's in Scotland, and then yeah, I'm presently in Canada practicing nursing, precisely psychiatric nursing. Yeah, that's the
Wow,
basics.
still psychiatry. Yeah, that's good to know. So, with all your traveling all over the world, what inspired you to move to Canada to practice nursing?
Well, for me, it's basically to expand my nursing career, both theoretically and clinically, in a global perspective. And that is not to say we don't have academias or erudites in Nigeria, but the moment we are denied certain medical supplies, devices, or tools, usually in the public sectors, that becomes a gray area when it comes to your expertise in terms of being able to compete internationally. So for me, it's not to say we are not having all of those theoretical and clinical expertise in Nigeria, but the theoretical knowledge is not enough. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And I would also like to let you know that it's um, an important aspect of my own why, which is the reason why I traveled was beyond being a local or being a nurse in Nigeria. I've always been inspired to explore and spread my tentacles as long as the world is open for me to explore, right? So in Nigeria, I think I touched a lot of areas in my little years of experience. I did work in the low middle income areas. I worked in the high income areas. I worked in the private sector. I worked in the public sector. I worked among client population of kids, youths, adults, seniors, which is the aged. So I practically touch almost all the areas with mental health nursing and also as a registered nurse. So I was not satisfied. I just wanted to have that touch of what is happening out there. So that's why I didn't just come out to practice, but also to study. Because, like I
Hmm.
said, I studied also in England. I also studied in Canada. I mean, I did community mental health nursing in Canada in 2018. I am still studying. Like, I mean, I am still learning because even when you're practicing clinically, you're learning. So for
Mhm.
me, traveling is a huge part of my knowledge in terms of practice. It's not just traveling that I'm traveling to practice abroad, but it's a very solid aspect of gaining knowledge because when you travel, you tend to learn so much more beyond what you have in your home country or you know and there's also the fact that there's also the fact that you're seeking for so much more, you keep getting inspired the more you see. Like the more you see, the more you have every reason to want to know what's up again, like what's more, what's new, and that's what research is all about. That's what knowledge is all about. There is no end to knowledge,
Yeah.
and it's a practical thing in my faith. where it states that you can seek knowledge even in China. As far what that means is it's just a parable. Like as far as you can go, keep seeking for knowledge, never stop. There's no ending to knowledge seeking. So yeah, so that was my own thing.
Thank you. So your traveling is basically to learn more, not just for fun. Yeah.
No, not just for fun.
And now you're now a master prepared registered nurse. Wow, that was huge. Yeah. Can you just describe your experience with Canadian nursing registration? I know you said you've practiced in England before moving to Canada. Does that make it more easier, or how was the registration with Canadian Nursing Board? How was it for you? Was it easy? Do you have to still go back to Nigeria to get your transcripts? Like, just a glimpse of how you were able to enter the register in Canada.
So, focusing on Canada, strictly, it was not a smooth ride. It took a lengthy process. At the time when I was changing or converting my license, it was basically from Nigeria to Canada. And there was this body, it's called NNAS, that is the National Nursing Assessment Service. I really don't know if it's still in use. I think there's a new one now, maybe NCAS or Inspire. I'm not too sure. There are other new assessment bodies. So for the NNAS, it was more like a US company because it was in Philadelphia at the time I was doing it. And they were very, I don't want to say slow, but it was just too lengthy because it was over a year. It took them over a year to process my application. And I was very upfront about it in terms of anything they need. I try as much as possible to get it as soon as I can. But it was just the wait period was way too long for me to understand because I had this notion that everything abroad is always fast. But they were unbelievably slow. Probably because they're doing two countries. I don't know. I can't speak for them. But but it was worthwhile. My experience with NNAS, maybe I should explain what that body stands for. It's actually basically to evaluate all your credentials and your education to be able to see if it can be compared to the Canadian standard enough for you to be eligible to practice as a registered nurse. So that's what that assessment body does. And once you're done, I think mine used over a year, just a year plus, just few weeks ahead of a year. And then I was given an advisory report. So that report is basically a document that evaluates the education that I have done and to see if it meets the nursing standards and requirements for Canada. So once it does meet the requirements, which was for me, it did. I mean, because I also had my degree in England, right? So everything was comparable. So I had to apply to the Board of Nursing in BC because my choice was to register either in BC or Alberta. Actually, for psych nursing, we have about 4 provinces that you can actually apply to. And basically, they would ask if you are practicing in Canada or if you are an internationally educated nurse. So for me, I chose, okay, of course, I'm an internationally educated nurse. So when I did that, I just followed the prompts, filling all whatever is necessary. And I also attached my advisory report from NNAS, which says my education and all my credentials were comparable to Canadian standards. So you attach it to them, give it to them, then you pay the fees. I think at that time it was about $300, thereabouts. It depends. I think it was about $300 to $700. I can't remember the appropriate amount, but it was within that range. And just bear in mind, it's different in all provinces. So I'm talking about BC. So for
British Columbia.
Yes, British Columbia. So after I did that, the next step was to get registered. Yeah, it was just automatic for me.
So do you have to write any exam before you enter the Canadian register? for
Sure,
nurses?
we did.
Okay.
Absolutely. You have to write the exam, and once you pass, then you can register with the registration body of whichever province you choose to work in. So yeah, that was what happened. And for me, I passed by grace of God. I passed once. And yeah, but then I know if even before you write the exam, you're privileged to still practice using a temporary license. It's just like when we were in Nigeria, where when you finish your exam,
Nursing council.
you can collect a letter from the is it
School.
from school?
School.
Yeah,
So
you collect
womb.
letter from school. So for this one, the major difference is you would not write the exam yet, and you can still practice. But for Nigeria, we have to write the exam first. Yes, that's the major difference.
But waiting
So
for results to come
we
back.
we are waiting for result, but here you are either not you've not written the exam, and also you might have written the exam just waiting for results. So
Okay.
it's 2 ways. So I did meet some people there. I remember my exam day, I met a Nigerian. Apparently, there are not many Nigerians in BC. It's about maybe 1.2% of blacks, not even Nigerians, blacks. So we have very few black people here. And that was something that's, it's expected because I knew what I was coming into, right? So, but on the day of my exam, I met a Nigerian, and I felt like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to perform. Given that he schooled here, he was very familiar with all the people, and I was looking like the odd one out, because apparently I'm the only one in the exam hall that did not school there. Because I saw them gisting, and I could see that, okay, they're all from the same school. It looks like I'm the only one coming from outside. And yeah, so, well, anyways, I did it. I passed. Interestingly, I got a job. Yeah, not long, less than 6 months, I got a job. And yeah, I just started practicing. With jobs, there are always many jobs online because, of course, Canada is always having shortage of nurses, just like most Western countries. You can always seek for jobs either on LinkedIn, on Indeed,
Indeed.
Workpolice. Yeah, and there's also this good thing about BC. I'm not sure if they have them in other provinces. There's something they call Health Match BC. So these people usually, it's a kind of a group of company, but they are very helpful to healthcare workers who are immigrants. So if you've got your license as a doctor or as a nurse, they can always help you to get a job with
What
major
did you
health
say?
authorities.
Can you repeat their name, please? Repeat the name
So
of the
there's
company.
the Health Match BC.
Health Match BC. Okay.
They're called
Thank
Health
you.
Match BC. So they're very, very helpful when you're here. As long as you have your license as an internationally educated nurse or doctor, they can always help you navigate the healthcare system to get a job, especially with major health authorities. I mean, the top 3 leading health authorities: Vancouver Coastal Health, Fraser Health Authority, and the PHSA, that's the Provincial Health Service Authority. They are very helpful in navigating immigrants to get a job, as long as you have your license. Yeah.
Wow, that's good to know. So, how did you adapt to the healthcare system, and what are your biggest challenges that you faced when you start practicing in Canada?
I was prepared, to be honest. I was highly prepared for this. It's a change of environment. It's a change of everything for not just me, but my family as a whole, because we all came as a family. However, one thing I did do that was very helpful was to utilize my support. I mean, it's very important to have a great support system, both among family and friends. And when it comes to countries where you don't have enough support, it can be very challenging. And that's why you see every immigrant having different experiences. So you have to be careful who you're taking advice from because they will talk based on their lens the lens of their own experience. You know what I mean? So I also did something with reading. I read a lot. like I tried as much as I could to read about the Canadian lifestyle. I read about their health policies, their mental health acts. I read about their ways of practice in terms of cultural competence, in terms of their kind of diversity with how they manage clients. Because with mental health, it's more of talking, communication, and communication is different across borders. I mean, the way we communicate verbally, non-verbally in various cultures can interpret different meanings, which can actually affect health or patient outcomes in terms of in health service delivery. So that's something that is very crucial to note, which is something that helped me. It helped me in shaping my ability to integrate in the healthcare system. However, I wouldn't say there were no challenges. There were challenges, and from the professional point of view, the challenge I would say that I really felt when I started was asking questions. But I think things have changed over the years, and that's because I'm an educator now. So,
Wow.
and aside that, I have also realized there's so many things and the policies they brought in terms of like maybe new grads or having to see more people coming from the different countries across the globe. Because at the time I came, there were not many people coming in at the time I came in. So it's probably they didn't feel the need for all of those things. Because I remember in the UK, you would do adaptation. In Ireland, I remember because I almost went to Ireland as well. I think that was my first option, NMBI and stuff. And they were telling me I was going to do adaptation for 6 weeks. So coming here and telling me I'm not doing any adaptation, I remember calling the nursing buddy and telling them, am I going to be getting an adaptation or something? So, well, I know you just apply for a job directly and go in. I was confident to practice. I know I'm competent, which is why I obviously passed the exam. But my point is, it's a new environment. It's a new, you're supposed to, I mean,
and the hospital
was weird.
Yeah, the hospital policy,
the hospital layout, the hospital. Absolutely. So I read everything on my own. I did a lot of reading on my own because that was as basic as somebody who grew up here. So I had to navigate everything on my own. Wow. But anyways, here we are. By the grace of God, I still I survived.
Now you're an educator. Yeah. So and then I've grown.
Yeah. And I think there's also something that was funny to me, probably because I read most of the books. I mean, in terms of Canadian practice and all of that, I was going by the books in my practice. I mean, which is what you would expect, right? So it was something to laugh about on my own, because I would usually hear comments like, you're professional, you're hardworking. For me, I don't know whether to call that a compliment or to call it an implicit bias. I don't know what to call it. Reason because, are you expecting me to be non-professional? Is it because I'm a Black? Do you have any reason to tell somebody you're a professional at work? I mean, that's something, it's an expectation. You're expected to be professional, isn't it?
Yeah.
So why would you be telling me you're a professional? This is a bit of a here, and I get those comments, and I wonder why would that be a compliment? You get what I mean? So
I know.
But it's fine. Like it's not to say it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying I don't see that. I don't accept that as a compliment. I just feel it should be standard. I mean, if you write it in your books, do this, and we're doing it, and then you find out as something that's a big deal, then I'm wondering, so what were you expecting? Anything less?
Okay. So my next question. Here in the United States, we have continuous education that we have to do before we can get our license renewed. Like in my home board of nursing, I renew my license every 2
Okay.
years. And I have to have like 36 compact hours of continuous education in nursing that I
Okay.
have to fulfill before my license could get renewed, even though I'm working. And also in my place of work, there are lots of continuous education that we have to fulfill while working, and that is always annually. So you have the responsibility to do all those continuous education every year. Is it the same thing in Canada, or your license renewal doesn't require continuous education for renewal?
So it's the same thing, but probably in different ways. We do renew our license every year. So, and you also have to meet some certain hours for you to be accepted. Yeah, it's the same thing, but different modalities. There's also a way we keep ourselves abreast of current practice, which is utilizing the Learning Hub. It's actually a secure province, like a wide course registry and learning management system. So it's particularly within the BC Healthcare Service or
Same here.
healthcare system in particular. I mean,
LMS.
it offers a centralized platform for assessing training and learning opportunities. Yeah, and and learning opportunities for various individuals, including the BC Public Service employees and health authority staff and other affiliated groups. So basically, this learning hub is having so many courses for registered nurses, for LPNs, for RPNs, for even leaders like nurses in the leadership role, educators. Everybody has access to this portal to advance your practice and keep you informed in current um, trends in the health practices. So yeah, and with the hours, well, you can be working as a casual, you can be working as a permanent staff, whatever, as long as you meet up the required hours, then that's fine. You can
Okay.
always renew your license, but it's every
So how has your
year.
experience as
And
an
then the good thing
immigrant
about
nurse?
our renewal is they will always give you your money back.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Not not all courses. Some are paid, some are not paid. So most times the courses that are paid are usually courses that last for about 4 hours. There's some courses that will last 4 hours and then you'll be paid for that. Some, if they're like just 30 minutes, 1 hour, they're not usually the paid ones. And then
Okay.
for your license, if you are renewing your license and after paying, you can always get by your receipts and then you will be refunded that money. You'll be refunded the money that you used to pay your license.
Oh,
So, but that's for BC. I don't know other provinces, but it's BC,
okay.
applicable to BC. Just bear in mind.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like it's a motivation. You are working for them, so they are paying for you to get current. Yeah. So to my next question, how
It's
has
the
your
same motivation.
experience as an immigrant nurse shaped your perspective about patient care in terms of cultural competency in Canada?
Well, I've been able to adapt successfully through education. And when I say education, I mean knowledge of cultural diversity, cultural competence. I think I did a full course in that when I did my community mental health nursing. And yeah, we had a full course on cultural diversity. I had a distinction in that. So that has helped me a lot in my practice. I'm still used to the differences in culture and the perspective with client outcomes because I make sure I use what I've learned in my education into practice. Apparently, the main thing is just have an open mind. Um, as much as you do, some certain things will come your way, so expect it in terms of implicit bias, explicit bias, racial comments, and that's because probably compared to England, here there are more other cultures than the blacks. You know, like I said, we are just like 1.2% of the population in BC. So it's a very small number, but that's not to say you can't function well. Your ability to embrace whatever is in front of you, you know, just have an open mind. That's the main thing. And yeah, and just do whatever you got to do.
So my next
And
question,
then culturally sensitive care involves adapting nursing interventions. So with your ability to adapt with the nursing interventions to meet the individual needs of these diverse patients, and it will only help you to foster trust among your patients. At the same time, it will help to improve the patient's outcome. So that openness is not just for you and your well-being, but also the impact it has on the patient, on the life of that patient. That's why I said, just focus on your focus.
so to the next question, what do you think are the most qualities or skills that immigrant nurses should have for them to succeed in the Western world? Taking Canada for an example, what are the skills and qualities that nurses should have?
Okay, so the first one will be cultural competence, and it's where you already know about them. You already know what operates in your own country. You're going to the outer world, so you should be fully competent and ready to learn new things. You know, you should be culturally diverse. I'll put it that way. And you should have an open mind. I think I've said that again and again. There's also the fact that you should be very observant. In mental health, there's something we call obtrusive and unobtrusive observation. You should be ready to apply these things in your everyday practice and living or lifestyle when you're in a new country, not only Canada, anywhere. It was going to help you to be able to gradually integrate and land softly. Another thing is you have to have a very in terms of, should I call it a soft skill? Like you should be tenacious. Your tenacity you should work on being tenacious, because when you are in a foreign country, you cannot control people's thoughts about you, because the media has given them what to project on. And that's why I said you are only coming in to prove yourself otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So there should be some level of tenacity. There should be some level of observation skills. There should be some level of resilience. I would say as Nigerians, let me speak for myself, but it's still something that I know it's common among many Nigerians. We are very resilient, and it's very helpful for us in navigating the healthcare system as nurses, with the country we find ourselves in. So those are my major to have in a new country. And the last one, which I'll put in, is focus on your focus.
I love that word. Focus on your focus. It's something that made you to pack your baggages from Nigeria or from your African country, saying, "Oh, I'm going out to go and for a better life." So that focus should be your driving force, not to give up at any point in time. I like that. Focus on your focus.
Absolutely.
So lastly, I'm going to ask for you to give advice to a lot of people that are still back home and they are still in the valley of decision. Should I not? Should I not? What advice do you give to them?
I wouldn't say yes or no. Everything depends on you. It depends on what you're looking for. I mean, I'm not going to be telling you, yes, come. And I'm not going to be telling you, no, don't come. Because I don't know what your interest lies in. Your interest doesn't have to be my interest. And we do need some people at home anyways. We need some people to stay at home and fix it. We need some people to stay at home and continue to, and not just that, but some of us are here, but some of us are also here because we want to still be that best in what we're doing so that we can go back home and still, impact positively from where we stopped. Right? So it's not a function of yes or no. It's about following your passion, following your drive, and making it come to life. That's just what I would say. And don't be too scared about anything. Like, if you can think it, you can do it. That's how I see things. And it's not just by mouth, but you have to put in the work. You have to do your research. You have to also committed.
All right, thank you. We are going to stop here. Thank you, Habiba. I really appreciate you. Thank you for saying all this. Thank you for letting us know how nursing is in Canada. I appreciate you coming, and my regards to your family and to my audience. Don't forget to like, hit the subscribe button if you have not subscribed. Please hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to share with your loved ones. This is Global Nurse Stories, where we share stories of immigrant nurses overseas, just to inspire people out there that are still contemplating whether or not it's worth it. Thank you.